All right, guys, so now what we're gonna go over a few movements that you guys can do if you have a box at home and no other equipment around. What are some things we can do? So first thing we're gonna cover is our step up and box jump combo. So the reason that I have both in here is the step up to box jump kind of depends on where you're starting off at. So box jump is a little more dynamic. It's got a little more explosive nature to it. So if someone is brand new to working out, brand new to exercising, or if you're just coming off of maybe an injury of some kind, box jumps isn't what I would necessarily go to right away. I'd probably try to stick a little closer to step ups because you can build some strength and stability and then work into the box jump later on. So I'll show both movements now. So step up, on step up you want to have a height of the box that as we get our foot on the box, we don't want to have our knee above our hips. What you don't want to have is be too high to where you're loading that knee a little too much. So you just want to make sure that's at a good height to where this is pretty almost a 90 degrees, so it's pretty straight on. And then we just step up, both feet at the top, and then kind of work your way down. You can alternate legs, or you can stay same leg on the box, stepping up, and then coming down and still staying in that position is fine as well. All right, going into the box jump there, again, a little more dynamic, but we're gonna start side, come up, land, and then stand, and then step down and reset. One of the big things that we talk about at the gym is we don't want to necessarily jump down off of the box, so we don't want to load in that pattern. So anytime you are doing box jumps, stepping down is usually the better way to go on that movement. So this is a movement where starting lower is more beneficial if you're new. If you try to go too high too fast, you run into issues where you're going to load the knee a little bit in the wrong pattern, or if we're trying to do a box jump and you go too high, you risk not being able to reach the top of the box, or it turns into just a really big hip flexion and not really getting any benefit out of the jump itself. So that's the first exercise. All right. Our second exercise, we're gonna show a squat to a box. So a lot of times when we do squats, we have this, for some reason, I don't know where it stems from, but we think we have to get our butt as low to the ground as humanly possible. And the reality is most people don't have the mobility or the flexibility to get us there. So one thing that we'll use is we'll use the box to give us a gauge so we know where our limit is at in that movement. So when we squat to a box, it allows us to keep in good position so we don't run into that issue. So what you'll do there is you'll get set up, have our heels close to the box but not up against the box, and then as we squat down, you just want to bring the hips down, let the knees come out just a little bit when we tap the box, and we drive up from there, all right? So a good example is if I show just a regular squat, and I get to a certain point, I can have my back start to round, and one of the things that can happen when we squat, especially if we use weight, is if we round the back, it loads the back, and then we can have an injury occur from that. So, and that falls into mobility or flexibility, where we just don't have the range of motion to get downwind. So the reality is we want to find where our limit is at, and then based on where our limit's at, we want to have the box meet us there, and we strengthen from there. So if the height is here, and that's where my limitation is at, I can strengthen my legs, I can strengthen my core, I can strengthen my back from that limit, and then I can slowly work the way down. So on this one, as we lower down, go lower on the elevation of the box, the challenge becomes great. Okay. All right, guys, so our next move we're gonna cover is gonna be a push-up. Now, what we do with beginners at our gym with push-ups is we actually will start them elevated on the push-up first. So this gives us a chance to take away some body weight off of the shoulders, off the triceps, and off the chest, but still get them in the same position that they're gonna be if they were to do push-ups off the floor or when they progress the push-ups off the floor. So we get our hands set on the bench, or on the box. We wanna try to set up with the palms right on top of the box here, and then when you come down to the box, the important thing to remember is you wanna try to have the midline of your chest touch the box. So we don't want to have our feet too far out or too far in to where we start getting too high. So an example of that is if I have my feet too far away, as I come down, I'll hit high up on my chest. That's not good on the shoulders. So you want to try to make sure as you do these off the box, you want to try to have middle of the chest touch the box. So the main reason we like elevated over any other kind of push-up variations because we get you to stay in that proper position. So we're loading the core, making the core work. We're having it activate and stay tight as we go through the push-up. but we're just taking away some body weight. So a common question we'll get at the gym about this is doing knee push-ups versus elevated, which is better. So we like the elevated. Knee push-ups, when you get on your knees, you actually take away some of that core activation, so it becomes harder to get good position. So we can build a little bit of strength there, but there's gonna be a stopping point and a limitation to what we can do. When we do elevated here, as you get better at a higher elevation, you lower the box down, you just added more weight to your push-up. And then you get better there, you just keep working down, progressing down. And then eventually, over time, you become able to do regular push-ups off the floor. All right. Next movement we're gonna go over is actually gonna be a plank off the box too. So the same rules applies on the push-ups with this one. So when we get set up, we get in the same position. Now here, what we're doing there is we're just, again, taking some body weight off of our shoulders, but we're allowing our core to still activate, still squeeze, but we're not being limited by what our upper body can actually hold, so we can support it more and be able to last a little bit longer on there. There's other core variations that you can use with this box. The plank one is just a pretty standard one that most beginners will probably look towards. I've seen planks being in beginner workouts quite often, so this is a good variation for you guys to go off of there. All right guys, so next movement we're gonna cover is gonna be a glute bridge. So we can do a lot of variations. I like, again with beginners, getting a little bit of elevation on their legs here because it allows them to feel the movement a little bit more, but it doesn't overload them too much. So we'll do this on the ground. What we'll do here is we'll lay down. We're gonna put our feet on the box. We try to get our hips close to the box. What we're gonna do from here, you just wanna come up, keep that core nice and tight. You're gonna bridge your hips up, and then slowly come back down to the ground and just kind of drive those heels into the box and then come back down. So again, bunch of variations you guys can do with the box on a glute bridge. I have clients who actually have them put their back on the box and come down. It loads up a little bit more, so again, for beginners, probably be a little bit too much, but it's definitely, again, the variations of these movements are really big with boxes. So hope that helps you guys.